St. Lucia is undoubtedly a world-class tourism destination. Growth in the cruise sector alone has expanded from 84,000 in 1987 to over 670,000 in 2020. These numbers now emphasize the need to manage beaches in order to safeguard visitor expectations, health, and safety.
SLASPA's role. We know SLASPA is a facilitator of trade in St. Lucia, which includes the important cruise ship sector. And apart from having our berths where we house those cruise ships when they enter in our waters, we also issue plan for our licenses to boats that transport those passengers from the cruise ships to Soufriere and to the Rodney Bay area as well. So all those persons falls under the jurisdiction of SLASPA, who issues out a license to engage in commercial activity. So when those boats go down the southern or northern part of the island, persons go ashore to relax and enjoy our beautiful beaches in St. Lucia, to enjoy the sun. However, the tourism sector is expanding, and there is always a need for more space whenever a product expands, and it takes on more space, which is natural. So the growth of the industry is welcome. However, it brings about its own challenges that the state must look forward to addressing, but it will only be increasing, which is to our own economic advantage.
First and foremost, an urgent matter of proper management, right? And once we have gotten that properly organized, then we can start to push out in terms of the re-educating and the raising of awareness. Clearly, we cannot move forward developing other spaces the way in which we have developed the existing ones. We have not managed it as effectively as we ought to have. So waste disposal, for example, is very poor. Attention to anyone succumbing to some sort of health-related illness, would be very challenging given the way in which we currently use the spaces, right? So moving forward, there are a lot of ideas on other spaces that can be expanded, that can be used, but now it requires a certain amount of infrastructural investment to make sure that it can be used more effectively, right? So there are lots of ideas in that regard, but there is an absence of legislation and policy and commitment overall by a sufficient number of stakeholders in order to effect the change that we critically need.
The NCA, let me just tell you, was established in 1999 through an act of parliament, and the mandate is to provide stewardship over the natural assets, and most of that is looking at the beaches, to maintain the beaches, to develop and maintain beaches. We issue licenses, people have to apply, they go through a vetting process, they must get the police record, there is a vending committee that looks at these applications, but they also must supply us with two reference letters, people to say, look, I know this person and this person is okay. You know, plus we still do our background checks. So to make sure that people who are on the beaches and working with tourists and visitors are people who should be there.
Average cruise ship now is carrying over 3,000 people. It's not uncommon to see 4 cruise ships in the bay at one time in Castries Harbour. What happens if the passengers decide that they all want to come off and enjoy the island and enjoy the beaches 4 days a week, because they're coming 4 days a week in the season? What plans are there in place to handle that kind of mass of people?
Well, there isn't a plan, and there's not a blueprint to say, and you're right, When SLASPA says we have 4 ships are calling with a total capacity of 8,000, luckily they all don't disembark. If they did, where are we going to put these people? I mean, 4 cruise ships in town and 30% get off, and Castries is chaotic in terms of traffic. Point Seraphine, the boarding area is chaotic, and there's no visible enforcement on the water.
I am not aware that any new spaces have opened up that will seriously reduce the impact on the existing spaces right now. So we've got to open up new bays and new beaches more quickly than we have in the past, and we've got to ensure that we invest sufficiently in the infrastructure needed so that not only can we manage waste and we manage the impact of the footfall in these areas, but also that we can create and optimize economic gains for vendors and other sellers of products and services who can create meaningful economic gains from these new economic spaces along the marine coastline.
There are popular beach sites in St. Lucia, and we know of the Rodney Bay, and we know of the Ridgeways, and we know of the Anshasney and those areas. However, one of the issues we have had, and even the boat operators have brought about a solution, is in terms of making other beach areas accessible. And I'm thinking that that's something we have to look at seriously. The increase in visitor arrivals will only add additional pressure on the popular beach areas there. We also find that the visitors, or even our nationals alike, they would frequent those areas where they know there are guest services available, where there are sanitation, where there are bathrooms. So with expanding those areas, we have to put in the infrastructure.
I can mention 2. One is Anshasney, the other one is Sugar Beach. Because you find that the cruise ship passengers, they've heard of these places and they just want to visit, you know. So every day you have an influx of visitors. And I mean, the argument has been made, you have people who've paid thousands of dollars per night to enjoy a bit of quiet, you know, and to enjoy themselves. And then you have people just come in there, you have the noise, you have the crowding, which is not really fair to them. Yet at the same time, we can't say, okay, we do not want the cruise passengers to be there. And so we must find that balance, you know. And like I've told some of the boat operators, we have Hummingbird Beach that is there, where you'll be supporting the locals, you know, right? So you can go there, you know, tell the visitors this is a local establishment, but you find people who want to see Jade Mountain, they want to see Anshasney because, you know, it's known worldwide.
A lot of the boats that take persons are used to going to specific sites, so they don't want to try something new. They're much more beautiful reefs the further side between Anshasney Bay and Ansmamin, but people don't want to use them because they want to go in a particular area. So the emphasis now is a management system. The west coast of St. Lucia needs structure. We need to have key agencies come together, SLASPA, NCA, Marine Police, SMMA, and the hotels that are involved. And basically, 1, find new areas to explore. 2, develop sites, beaches that will have the infrastructure to bring all these cruise ship people, because we are on a collision course. We are in a crisis mode. The cruise ship sector is competing openly for the use of beaches with nationals and hotel guests. And I'm not putting one against the other, but it has become unsustainable. It's now a health and safety issue. And I hate to say it, but 9 persons in 10 years have died coming in contact with small boats, have died. God forbid, we should not be waiting for another tragedy to respond to this.
You know, there are certain destinations in which they have literally shut down beaches or cordoned off and closed down other areas in order to allow the coral to regenerate and the ecosystem to regenerate. They have made some very unpopular decisions in order to manage the volume of foot traffic on certain spaces that have historic and cultural value to certain destinations. We still do not have consensus on what those volumes would be for St. Lucia, right? And like you said, it is one thing to promise an expansion of an industry, and it is one thing to make a promise to visitors in terms of what your experience is going to be. But then when we look at what is happening now, the proof before us right now is that we are unable to sustainably honor those things. And it is slipping out of our hands faster than we are willing to address the problem.
The dive sector has grown, and it has grown primarily because we have some scenic, or had some scenic reefs below the water. And part of the success of the dive sector was due to an institution called SMMA, the Soufrière Marine Management Association. Because there was sustainable development, we were able to manage the numbers, manage the use of the resource, and as a result the reefs blossomed, there wasn't an overuse, etc. As a result of that, ABAGLO, the Dive Association, became part of SMMA, and it grew to the point now there are hoteliers that are involved in dive shows, and there are people staying at specific resorts for diving. But these very same sites that are now successful are being oversubscribed. Case in point is the Anse-Chastanet Bay, Anse-Cochore Bay, etc. And we're not saying that you need that people shouldn't be using it, or it needs to be owned by a particular resort. We need to manage the use. We need to manage the numbers that are going there, because you may well know, Andre, tannin oil, plastic cups, anchors dragging, and the reefs are going to destroy.
The idea is that the northern part is congested, fast half is congested, but the middle is available. So and again, what it does, if we can develop those middle areas like ancillary canneries, then you have what you've done, you've increased employment. So persons now, at least they will safeguard the tourism industry, because they realize my livelihood is based on keeping those areas in check. You can have garbage disposal in those areas. You can pay persons a security fee for them to monitor those boats when they come in the middle areas.
If you look at here, at Redwi, we don't have any public facilities here. And I'm pleased to say that in the new financial year, we will be having a facility. The drawings have been approved, so we'll have vending facilities, we have designated parking areas, and also comfort stations. So, I mean, this will be fantastic. We had the same situation at VG, and you notice there is the VG facility, you have the comfort station, and you find a lot of people go there now because they know the amenities are there. The same thing with Pigeon Island, and that's what we want to do, to have all of these facilities on most, if not all, of our beaches. The other challenge we have is security on the beaches. And what we did was to work with the SLHTA through the TEF, and we got funding for the rangers, for 3 rangers at Redwi Beach, because we felt it was, I mean, a very, very busy and very popular beach. And what we want to do is spread it out to other beaches. But that will take funding and the resources that we don't have. So I'm hoping that this could happen. We also, in terms of safety, we have lifeguards. We do not have lifeguards on the beaches. And we're working with the St. Lucia Lifeguard Association to be able to make this happen. And for this financial year, we want to see that in release.
And people take constructive criticism the wrong way. We need to begin to critique the systems. That doesn't mean we're being overly critical about an agency. But there are some agencies that have the mandate and they need to fulfill it. You can't be taking fees or taxes from a person and not delivering a service. We need law enforcement on the water. The Marine Police is challenged, we know that, they have to police the coast, but there need to be a dedicated section of the Marine Police to deal with water-based tourism. It's like putting all these cars on the road and not having any traffic police. And the other most important element is we need product development, because this marine-based tourism is becoming a hustle. A guy, and this is good. I was big on promoting nationals owning vessels, but now that they have the vessel, it's like they jump in the boat and it's a hustle, every man for himself. And I'm going to drive the boat the way I want. I'm going to drop people in any beach. I am going to go between divers, swimmers. I'm going to compete with. It's a hustle, and we need to step back, put these young men and women in service areas, and let them be part of the experience.
The area will only grow in leaps and bounds, and we have to be proactive. And then being proactive again is going around right now to identify again beach areas. I mean, they are out there. It's a matter of the relevant policymakers investing and developing those areas. I know government have spoken about some additional areas in the southern part of the island, and I know they are on stream, but I would not mention those areas now. But we want to advocate in terms of increasing access or open other beach areas, which would reduce the congestion in the northern part of the island and also in the southern part of the island.
Our vendors, they're happy. They are happy, because the more tourists visit, the more tourists you are visiting, is the more money they make. If you look around, you see the beach chairs.
Yes.
You have so many beach chairs, and some of them are saying, oh, we need more beach chairs because of the influx.
People, yeah.
But yet at the same time, we have to be careful about the overcrowding
Yes.
on the beaches. Looking at our beach capacity, So I hope, out of all of this, that we can get to a compromise.
Yes, I agree.
Actually went about for the past 10 or 12 years to educating all the boat operators. So each person you see behind the wheel of a vessel, they are trained, they are certified by SLASPA through the Maritime Administration. And we also have a rigorous inspection regime, SLASPA Maritime Division. Annually, or even biannually, we go on board those boats to ensure the boats have all the safety equipment on board, the captain is trained, the crew is trained, life fire extinguishers are all right. Everybody has a life jacket as well. So that in itself, the safety component of it has encouraged other persons to enter the industry. The development at Pigeon Point with the houses there and the shops there, they have also inputted washrooms in the facility. So then you can control pollution in that area. You can control the influx of sewage into the swimming area. So it has to be a holistic approach.
The challenge you have is that you have persons paying top dollar, sitting under an umbrella for the day and expecting a certain service and experience. And then you have a guy who was paid a certain price for a cruise ship experience, who comes with his jug of rum punch and wants to sit next to that person and even try to encroach on the shade in that person's umbrella. So we need to manage them, and again, I think the way to do it is to know what's the carrying capacity of whatever location, put amenities for all, nationals, hotel guests, etc., and respect the privacy of persons paying top dollar. And that's not a difficult concept to grasp.
Because we all benefit from that crucial tourism dollar. Hence, we all have to have the inputs and come up with some solutions wherein all the parties have to coexist and we have to compromise.
See that balance. Do you know the balance? Because with development, you have challenges, and it's to be able to manage those challenges and to ensure that the challenges don't grow, out of proportion. I think we need to do a lot more talking with the sectors, different sectors that involve in tourism. Do some more discussion and not just leave it at the table.
Let's look for sites. Let's look for locations where we can put the infrastructure for the vendors, for the nationals involved, and have the infrastructure, and by extension create the opportunity for economic empowerment. Because we can do this, we just need to be collective, and we need to recognize that we are in a crisis mode, especially those in the corridor of power.
Yeah.